again. So, time to time, get an email with, click on this link to find out how to cure your diabetes, how to lose weight, how to meet girls, whatever. And it goes to some scam video. Now, out of curiosity, I watch some of these. Usually, like at work when I'm doing something boring like data entry or little, things that don't take a lot of thought. Um, I'll run one of these in the background and just listen to what they have to say. And so this actually is an email, not an email, a YouTube ad that comes up from time to time. Because people have started doing these on YouTube rather than emailing them now. I didn't watch the video, but the ad for it on YouTube talks about how butter is good for you, which to some extent it is. I'm not going to go into that. And the big thing is, do you know why it's called butter? It's called butter because it contains butyric acid. Now, I'm pretty sure the word butter's been around a lot longer than butyric acid, or us calling it butyric acid. In fact, I began to suspect butyric acid was named after butter instead of the other way around. Now, interesting thing enough, what the guy is saying, as I did my research, it is to some small extent true. The difference is, when you actually go to watch these videos, they usually turn around after they took you in, and it's really not about what they were advertising, it's about buy our pills. Like I said, haven't watched this guy's video. I'm assuming it's going to be about buy our pills. But let's find out more about butter, just because that's where I went with this. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's older than butyric acid. I know that it's in the Bible. In fact, I looked it up. It's in the Bible 11 times. So, King James Bible, 1611, butter was a word. King James Bible was largely a paraphrase of the Geneva Bible. They say it's a new translation. Basically, they pulled out the Geneva, pulled out the old Hebrew, Greek texts, went through, this is okay, this okay, this okay, okay, let's change this word now. It's largely a paraphrase of the Geneva. 1560 Geneva, butter was used. Geneva is not the oldest English Bible. Going back in time to, let me see my notes here real quick. Coverdale, 1535. Found a copy of that online. Used as the word butter. Tyndale, 1526. Butter. Wycliffe. Couldn't find when Wycliffe was published. He lived up until 1384, so mid to late 1300s. Butter. Now, possible that Wycliffe was actually printed in Old English. Of course, I looked up the etymology of butter. There was an Old English word, butyr, B-U-T-E-R-E, or it might have been butter. Don't know how it's pronounced, but B-U-T-E-R-E. Came from German, came from Latin. Let's see, Latin was butyrum, which came from Greek, boturon, which some people think meant cow cheese. So butter is cheese to the ancient Greeks, apparently. Okay, so we've gone that far. Let's look the other way. Where does butyric acid come in? So it was, let me see here, Michel Eugene Chevreul. 1814, he observed the existence of butyric acid in butter, studying butter. 1815, he did not report about this, but he did, he did not publish, but he did report it to the French Academy of Science. And then he actually did publish sometime between 1817 and 1818. This, of course, led to a little confusion because another Frenchman, Henri Braconnot, was also studying butter. And so, because, like I said, Chevreul, I'm mispronouncing the name. Yeah, Chevreul. He made notes about it and turned his notes in, but he didn't actually publish. So there was a question of who was first. The two also had the same problem with stearic acid. They were both studying fatty acids and both claimed the discovery of two different acids at the same time. This was the French fatty acid wars of the early 1800s. That's made up, but basically, interesting thing here. If you took French in high school, butter in French is beurre, or le beurre. No tea in it. Got curious, when did they drop the T out in French, or did it ever have a T? And again, found a couple old French words which again didn't have T's, beurre or beurre or B-U-R-R-E, different versions, but none of them had a T in it. So when Chevreul and Braconnot were doing their thing and decided to name this acid that they discovered in butter, they went back to the Latin, and that's where we get the butyric from. So it wasn't just beuric, it was butyric because they went back to the Latin. So again, butyric acid was named after butter, not the other way around, like this one video was saying. So what the video was also claiming was this is good for your colon and your intestinal health, and apparently it is. That said, what your body needs is butyrate, which it can take butyric acid, it can convert it to butyrate, and this is good for you. If you don't get it, you can get what is called autophagy, which is basically where cells start to digest themselves. So you do need butyrate in your system, or else your colon is going to start having problems. So that much of the video, yeah, you do need this stuff in your system. Again, I didn't actually watch the video, I only watched the ad for the video. So whether he's selling butyric acid tablets or some other thing, I don't know. So do you have to eat butter? And that's one thing before we go on this. Like I said, your body doesn't need the butyric acid, it needs a butyrate, which it makes from butyric acid. And I'm saying that because the idea, so I should eat more butter. Butter will give you butyric acid, but your body can only convert this at a certain rate. It needs other enzymes to do that. So if you eat too much butter, you're going to get a bunch of junk in you that your body can't use, and so it can be bad for you. So saying that the solution is to eat more butter isn't exactly a good thing to say. Although, at the same time, butter isn't necessarily quote-unquote bad for you, or as bad as some people say. It's just the amount you eat. Now, there are other sources of butyric acid. The list of these I found, they had a couple disclaimers. One is some of this is not from the substance itself, it is from the animal making butyric acid or making butyrate. So we had some meats, for instance. Lamb, beef, and chicken were listed. These weren't specifically called out on this point, but it makes sense that the butyric acid you're getting from these is not a product of the meat itself, but a product of the animal creating it in their system. So you might not get as much as you would want. Eggs would have it. Eggs could go back and forth either way on this one. Dairy products have it. Then vegetables, or vegetable type things, and it lists whole grains, legumes, and then certain vegetables. So different vegetables in different amounts are going to have butyric acid in them, which your body can use. So you don't necessarily need the butter to get the butyric acid. It's just probably a stronger source or a better source of it. Greater quantity source probably, not necessarily a better source. But and again, I couldn't find a list of what was the best source for it. Where can you get the most of it from? That was another one of the disclaimers on this list. Was it comes in different different quantities per whatever, and it didn't try to give me more information on that. So that is pretty much it. Like I said, this article or this ad, when it's saying butter comes from, we call it butter because it has butyric acid in it. The guy was sort of putting the cart before the horse. We call it butyric acid because it comes from butter. And if the guy didn't do that much research into it, I would question whatever product he's trying to sell. That's it. Have a nice day.